The call came while I was sealing the last box. Tape rasped like a confession being dragged out of plastic. My phone vibrated across the desk. Once, twice, again. I didn't answer. The office was too clean for goodbyes. 13 years reduced to white walls and fingerprints I'd already wiped away. I could still hear my brother-in-law's voice echoing between the filing cabinets, polite, rehearsed, surgical. "We found someone who can do your job for 30% of your salary. No apology, no thanks, just a number. A blade wrapped in a spreadsheet." The phone kept ringing. I slid the box under my arm and walked past the glass door, where my name had been etched so long it felt permanent. The elevator chimed. The doors closed. Silence fell like snow. Then the screen lit up again. CEO. I smiled. Not because it was funny, because it was inevitable. I answered only when the elevator hit the lobby. "Where are you?" he demanded. "We have the quarterly review." I watched my reflection in the mirrored wall. Calm face, steady eyes. A man who had already left. "I'm unavailable," I said. The line went dead. Outside, the air felt different, lighter, like a crime scene after the rain. I didn't know yet how loud the silence would become. It wasn't the firing that hurt. It was the choreography. My wife hadn't looked at me that morning. She'd stirred her coffee clockwise, always clockwise when she was hiding something. Her brother, my boss, had texted me at 7:12 a.m., "Quick meeting before lunch." They thought I didn't notice patterns, that 13 years hadn't trained me to read rooms, budgets, faces. At home, my wife said nothing about the meeting, asked if I wanted leftovers for dinner. Her voice was gentle, almost kind. That's how betrayal enters, on soft feet. By evening, the family thread buzzed. Thanksgiving plans, seating arrangements, who brings dessert. Then the call. "If you want to join Thanksgiving, come wash the dishes," my daughter-in-law shouted over the phone, laughter spilling behind her like cheap wine. I paused, let the insult settle. "Enjoy," I said, and hung up. The denial phase was brief. I didn't need proof to feel the shift. The way conversations stopped when I entered a room, the way my wife's phone face down became a rule, the way my brother-in-law avoided my eyes like they were mirrors. They hadn't just replaced me at work, they were erasing me everywhere. I didn't confront anyone. I audited. Late nights turned surgical, bank statements, corporate access logs, a quiet review of emails I still had permission to see, permissions they forgot to revoke. I discovered my role had never been operations, it had been containment. I knew where the bodies were buried because I'd written the burial plans. The CEO knew that too. That's why he called. I met him the next morning in a cafe where the music was loud enough to drown confessions. "You weren't fired," he said. "You were displaced." I nodded. Same thing, different lie. At home, I packed selectively. Documents before clothes, memory before comfort. My wife watched without asking questions. She thought silence was control. She was wrong. I forwarded a single folder to a private account, then another, then the one marked Zurich. The calls started after that, soft at first, curious, then urgent. By the time Thanksgiving arrived, I was already gone. Switzerland is quiet in a way that feels judgmental. Mountains don't care about your excuses. My villa overlooked a lake smooth enough to reflect lies back at the people who cast them. I sent no messages. I posted photos. The first ring came at dawn, then another, then a flood. 71 calls by noon. My daughter-in-law screamed when she finally got through. "What is this? Where are you?" I sipped espresso, watched the mist lift. "Working," I said. The truth arrived in pieces for them. A canceled transfer, a frozen account, the CEO's name mentioned where it shouldn't be. I scheduled a video call. No agenda, just faces. My brother-in-law was pale. My wife's hands trembled in her lap. They spoke at once. I let them. When they stopped, I shared my screen, quarterly forecasts, compliance breaches, the memo that proved my firing violated 3 contracts and 1 law, the Swiss entity that owned the IP they'd been selling as theirs. "I built it," I said. "You borrowed it." My wife cried, loudly, theatrically. I didn't look away. The power move wasn't yelling, it was timing. I informed them, politely, that the CEO had reinstated me as a consultant, at triple my old rate, offshore, untouchable. Their replacement? Gone. 30% was too expensive once the fines arrived. My brother-in-law tried to speak. I muted him. To my wife I said, "You didn't betray me for love, you did it for convenience." Her mouth opened, closed. The truth landed harder than anger. I ended the call without saying goodbye. That night I forwarded one last email to the family thread. "Happy Thanksgiving. The dishes are clean." I walk the villa at night when the lake goes black and the lights of other lives flicker across the water. I think about 13 years as a transaction finally balanced. I don't miss them. I miss the version of myself that believed loyalty was mutual. The phone is quiet now, silence earned. Some people confuse access with power. They confuse familiarity with ownership. I learned the difference. And when I finally turned off the lights, I realized something else. I didn't walk away broken. I walked away finished.